Hope everybody's well under the circumstances and all these trying times that we're facing. I do know the human spirit will persevere. What we're going to do today is just briefly go through what we mentioned last week when looking at your cover. There's two documents. It's your policy schedule and your policy wording that need to be read in conjunction with each other. Today, I'm going to focus on the personal lines policy and just briefly run through the sections with you, because a lot of times what we find is you may be under the impression that you actually have cover for a certain item, but you don't really actually have that cover, because sometimes it actually needs to be an extension, and although the insurer offers the extension, it actually physically has to be chosen. So I'm going to pull up a policy schedule that I've printed just for us that I'm going to show. So nice thing for you guys, there's going to be a bit that you don't need to look at my face, but you're going to see some of the pages. I'm going to put it in front of the camera just so that we can hopefully just show you and look at the little things that you need to look out for. Okay, now we've got this policy and a little bit of tongue-in-cheek. It's actually for Miss Wonder Woman, woman in the world. And starting with the first page, so as we go through each sort of page, I will just hold it up in front of the camera so that you can see and relate it back to your own policy schedule that you do have in front of you. On the first page, let me try and bring this a bit closer. The first page is basically the broker details, the policyholder details, the policy details, and if there was any endorsements done, they will actually tell you what has been done on your policy. So just always check that first page, that all the information that is on there is correct. And if it is not correct, please let your broker or your insurer know, because otherwise at claim stage, if any information is incorrect, they are going to give you potential problems with that. Okay, then the second section. Some schedules will differ, but most insurer schedules tend to follow the same format, is what they call a premium summary section. Basically, what this section is going to be, it's every section that you have chosen to put on cover, as well as the accompanying premium with it. They would also there include the note telling you that your schedule becomes basically a tax invoice upon payment, so if it's ever required, you can actually give it through. Okay, now with this particular insurer, they start with the vehicle section. So just on the vehicle section, a few things to look at. You're going to see they're going to have your vehicle and its details, the values, the premiums, but they're also going to note quite a few things that you need to pay attention to, because the basis of cover on your vehicle, you're going to get three types of cover, be it comprehensive, third-party fire and theft, or third-party only. So just make sure of that you have got the right cover. And then also just pay attention to, most insurers insure your vehicle at retail value, which is the highest value possible for your vehicle. We have found some insurers insure at market value, which means you would lose out at claim stage. Now, a lot of things that we also see coming through, and this is now without going into too much detail, where you need to check. If your vehicle is financed through either the bank or on your insurance policy, you can actually take shortfall cover. They call it credit shortfall or top-up. Extras that you can also take is things such as your excess waivers, car hire, and then there's additional little products, and that is where, once again, the schedule with the wording, such as mag and tire cover. So please just take a look at those things and just note all of them. Under the vehicle section, you can insure your vehicles, your cars, your buckies, trailers, and that also tend to be under the vehicle section. But just always please look out for those little extensions and extra cover. Okay, from the vehicle section, you'll see after they've named your vehicles and all the things that they do there, they also tend to give a basic excess summary, so please be aware of your excesses. Then we're going to move on to the building section. Building section is your building, your house that you live in, your townhouse, your flat. That covers the actual physical building. Once again, please just take note with that. When you get the insured value, a lot of times that is not communicated to clients. If, for example, there is a fire and the building burns down, your sum insured, though the fire department comes out, there's actually costs related to that. There's also professional fees in that, so your amount needs to be adequate. And then just always confirm with your broker or your direct insurer what extensions they do offer, what are standard extensions, and what are additional extensions that you need to take. There, an example would be, all insurers would include your geyser with your building, but you may have now gone and put in a geyser or a gas geyser. Insurers tend to have limits on the value of the geyser. For example, a standard geyser, they'll have a limit of 10,000 Rand. You've now got your solar geyser that's 20,000 Rand. If it is not noted, you will unfortunately lose out on the claim. Moving over next, we're going to go to your content section. I'll just briefly every now and then show you a page. Content is everything that is in your home. So your bedding, your microwave, your TV, your hi-fi, your toothbrushes, your clothing, your shoes. Anything that can be suffering a loss, going into it without sort of too much to bore you, based on what they call insured peril, so things such as theft, fire, water damage, storm damage. There, once again, please also just check the extensions that is offered on the policy. A question that we have quite a few times is, I think like me, if you're blessed, I've got a bunch of rambunctious and busy kids. They happen to be playing and they kick the TV with the rugby ball, or they're passing and the TV hits the rugby ball. It is not covered unless you have the accidental damage extension. So please just take note and look at those little things. Okay, from the content section, we've got what they call the all risk section. This section, very important. It's also, once again, split into two. There is what they call the unspecified all risk. This would be things like your wife goes out with her handbag. They happen to grab her handbag. So the unspecified all risk would cover up to a provided limit to replace her handbag, her wallet, and say some of her makeup. Then the specified all risk. Specified all risk can turn into a very, very long list. Now with this, what they mean by specified all risk, it tends to be items that are taken out of the home on a daily basis, such as a watch, a cell phone, a laptop, your sunglasses, your prescription glasses. And yeah, I would advise, speak to your broker, or if you had a direct insurer, speak to them. Let them actually give you a list, because there is how many things that can be specified, and it is one of the areas where clients tend to suffer loss, and when they put in a claim because it was not specified, their claim unfortunately is not paid. Okay, I know this is boring, but this is just to try and help everybody out there and just educate you, just to take a look at what you must always check out for. Then we move on to your personal legal liability section. Just also let your broker or your direct insurer explain exactly what this section covers. Liability, because it carries a legal component to it, is normally dealt with by your insurer's legal department. So it is not like a normal claim of a motor accident. Liability, for an example, and not limited to, you happen to have somebody that comes to visit you. While they are there, they are injured. They now run up medical costs and everything. They turn around and say they are now suing you. This is where your insurer will step in on your behalf. But the one thing, please, I can't stress it enough. Even though it may be your fault and you know it is your fault, you cannot accept liability because that lies with the insurer. Only your insurer may accept liability. You cannot accept any liability on behalf of the insurer. But this you can discuss with your broker or with your direct insurer. Okay, with liability as well, there's normally set limits, but you can get what they call extended liability. That just increases that insured amount for you. So it is also just for further peace of mind. Now, another thing that can also be put on your personal policy is what they would call the watercraft section. Under watercraft, this is if you are fortunate enough, you own a boat or a ski or wet bike, as they call them, and that you can actually insure that. But please just also once again speak to your broker or the direct insurer to make sure you understand the cover under that. It is seen as a form of specialized cover because they would look at, do you use your watercraft inland? Do you use it coastal? So there are a lot of limits attached to it, and there are a lot of different extensions. Then finally, in your policy section, depending on the insurer that you're with, they may have the product automatically. They may have it as an extension. Insurers limits. When I say limits, it means the actual sum insured that they cover may differ. You've got the legal costs and legal expenses section for defamation or wrongful arrest. And then on a lot of the short-term policies, they have also sort of one of the last sections is what they call personal accident. So if you're injured, it will work very similar, and this is where we spoke last week, the difference between the short-term insurance and the life insurance. So it is a bit of more, it's a personal feeling of mine. It's more to the life side, so that cover is a lot more extensive on your life policy, but it is just an added little benefit that you can get some additional cover. But once again, chat to your broker or your direct insurer. And when I say chat to your broker, people, please, we're hoping it's us and that you join our SA Broking Victoria family, that we can look after you. Okay, then with the schedule, the last thing that they tend to put on your schedule is now what they call the special risks section. The special risk section is where they tend to note things like home and roadside assist. If you have an excess waiver on your policy, if you have car hire on your policy, most insurers, and I actually think every single insurer with their home and roadside assist has access to a 24-hour call center that through emergency you can be assisted 24 hours a day. I know even with the lockdown, a lot of the places have still had that. They're running on a skeleton staff. They have had those call centers and they have been assisting with services that are obviously allowed during level 4. Okay, then the last two parts, you will see SASRIA on your policy. It's an automatic inclusion. SASRIA is cover, and they will give you a breakdown on it normally at the back of the schedule. SASRIA is the South African Special Risks Insurance Association. This is actually cover if any of your property that is insured under your policy is damaged due to political unrest or riot. Okay, as I said today, I'm not going to go into too much detail in the thing that I'm going to invite you to send through your questions and that, be it via email or today via the video. And then last but not least, on your schedule, which is also very, very important, the last few pages is what they call a statutory notice. This is a legal requirement on your policy document or insurance schedule, as they call it. Your statutory notice is going to contain all the information, who your broker is, who your insurance company is, who the compliance officers are, procedures for submitting a complaint to any of the ombudsman, as well as it would declare any interest that a broker may have in an insurer and that the commission that is paid to your broker. So at all times you can see exactly what is being paid and the breakdown of your premiums and that, as that is required by law. If any of those facts are hidden from you, please, it's a red flag, raise those questions. That, in a nutshell, is your personal policy. Personal policies can range, this particular one, with all the sections, and that's why I know people, it can get boring. This particular one, and it's just the schedule, is 24 pages long. We haven't even included the actual policy wording in here, that we said it's the two documents you read together. As policy wordings can range anything from 60 pages to 180 pages. I know it's daunting, it's a lot to learn, but this is what helps you. Further than that, if you don't find the time to read it, or you do go through and you don't understand it, remember your broker is there to answer those questions. The same if you phone the insurer directly, they are there to answer those questions. If they don't answer the questions, or you feel that you aren't 100% happy with the answer because it doesn't make sense, please then ask somebody else. By doing that and double checking, it's not that you're now saying you don't trust the person, but by double checking, you know if two people are saying the same thing, that is what it's going to boil down to. Other than that, for today, thank you for joining us again. As I said, we welcome that you please send us comments and what you would like to see more of, and what you would like to explore, maybe through a personal experience that you've had or personal question that you've got. You can either send it through via email to us, or send it through while we're going live. Some of them we can answer for you while we're live. Other than that, we'll get back to you if you pop us an email address or contact number. And there we go. Another session done and dusted from my side and the family side. We'd like to wish you a very blessed day further. We pray that you are all safe and sound, and we know for a fact everybody will come through this, and we will rise above the circumstances and this invisible foe that we're fighting at the moment. And thank you. Have a blessed day further.